Planet Dolan.
Hey guys, I'm Derek. You might know me as one of the writers at Planet Dolan, but what you might not know is that I once worked on a TV show as a background extra, or the people you see in a movie or on a TV show who surround the main actors and don't have any lines. For now, let's call the show Two Shrub Mountain, because I don't want to get sued. I worked as a background extra on that show for 3 episodes. I did it twice in 2007, and once again a year later. The first and last times I worked as an extra were kind of boring. The first time, all I had to do was sit in a chair and read a magazine on a hospital set while nurses wheeled a gurney past me. On the gurney was one of the main actresses on the show. The actor who played her husband ran alongside the gurney. That was all. I doubt you want to hear my exciting day of sitting in a chair and pretending to read a magazine about snowboarding. The third and final time I was ever an extra on that show was when I was a fan attending a high school basketball game. All I did was sit on my ass in the bleachers of a real gymnasium, which was filmed at a middle school during spring break. I had to pretend to either yell or applaud, called pantomiming, while the actors played a fake basketball game. So now let me tell you about the best experience I ever had working on Two Shrub Mountain. It was 8 o'clock in the morning when I got there. I was brought into the extras holding room, which is a place where all the extras wait until they're needed. A mistake I made during all of my times working as an extra was not bringing anything to entertain myself. You see, being an extra equates to doing a lot of waiting, and I mean a lot. A production assistant, or a PA, was in there babysitting us. He would occasionally say rolling, which meant the production crew had started filming. He wore a headset, which was how they communicated with each other. Basically, whenever rolling was said, we had to shut up. Only when the PA said cut, we were free to be our loud selves again. The holding room itself wasn't anything exciting. The only interesting things in there was a makeshift air conditioner and the craft service table with snacks like crackers and candy. Shortly after eating a satisfying breakfast, the costume designer on the show came in and looked through the clothes that each of us brought, as a TV show doesn't supply the extras with costumes. Well, usually. Extras have to bring at least 3 possible tops without any logos because, you know, copyright and trademark infringement exists. When she picked a shirt that each of us brought, she told us that they had to be tucked in due to the fact that we were employees that had been hired by the character who owned the boutique. Alright, cool. After what seemed like forever, it was finally time to go on set. The PA escorted a couple of us out of the holding room and into a huge back area with filming equipment, as well as the dressing area for the actors. I recognized one of the actors who played the girl who owned the boutique. There was another actress standing next to her who played her assistant. The actress who played her assistant looked over at me and gave me one of the biggest smiles I've ever seen. I never said hi or anything, because you aren't allowed to talk to the actors, but I happened to meet her at an autograph signing and she really seemed like a sweetheart. Anyway, once we actually got on set, the second assistant director met us. He told me what I had to do. Once the girl who owned the boutique said a line, that was my cue to carry 3 boxes out from the back room and put them in 3 cubby holes. That was it. The thing was, I had to do it a certain way. I had to begin by carrying 2 boxes, put them into their own cubby hole with one of the sides sticking out, get the third one, and then come back into the boutique and put it in the last cubby hole with one of its sides sticking out. After all the boxes were in the cubby holes, I had to go into the back room a second time and just wait until they were done with that particular take. The second assistant director went on to tell me that I needed to pay attention to continuity, as they would be doing multiple takes. That meant, each time, I had to put the same box in the same cubby hole with the same side sticking out. In other words, I needed to develop my own little strategy so I could remember which box went where. It wasn't a big deal, but at the time I was afraid I'd make a mistake because, well, at the time, my allergies were really fucking with my head. Luckily, I was able to successfully perform my role during each and every take. I got one hell of a workout hauling those boxes back and forth too. Then, we went back into the holding room. Crew members worked while some of the cast members sat a few feet away from us. But most of the time, when we weren't on set, I just stood there and watched the cast members in their sitting area. Looking back, that was pretty fucking creepy of me. Anyway, I remember one of the actresses getting pissed about her shitty laptop crashing all the time. It was kind of fun to watch her get pissed, I won't lie. Anyway, after coming back from lunch, the second assistant director asked us to follow him outside. We did, and I saw a camera on the sidewalk at the opposite side of the street, facing the front of the building, which appeared to be a normal storefront. It blended in like the rest of the buildings on that street. It didn't take me long to realize that they were filming an establishing shot, and we were playing the pedestrians that walked along the sidewalks and crossed the street. I was told when the camera was rolling to cross the street. However, I could only cross the street when the crosswalk signal changed, as they couldn't stop traffic. Fine. On the first take, being the dumbass I was back then, I crossed the street even though the signal hadn't changed. I was lucky nobody hit me. The second assistant director reminded me that they couldn't stop traffic and that I had to wait. Yeah, I jaywalked. My bad. So during the second take, the second assistant director and I were just off camera. He literally had his hand on my shoulder. Hey man, I don't blame him. It was all because I was being a dumbass for some reason. The next thing I knew, I was back in the hallway watching the crew and cast do their things. I noticed that the cast members had changed into more formal clothing. Around the same time, I noticed that more extras started to pile into the holding room. Most of them were men around my age. I was in my 20s at the time, wearing all black. I learned later on that they were there to film the prestigious grand opening party of the boutique, and they were the bartenders and servers. It was obvious that we were about to leave, yet the PAs wouldn't let us leave. When you're an extra, they won't let you leave until they know for sure that they will no longer need you. I honestly believe that they think they own us until they sign us out. But seriously, you have to practically have a fucking heart attack to be let go. A few guys were even telling the PA that they had to go to work. Eventually, they signed us out, and we were free to leave. We didn't get out of there until around 6:45. I couldn't believe that I was there for a little over 10 hours. I started to think how the cast feels working even longer hours on a regular basis. Let me tell you, even if you have no interest in acting, working as an extra is not only fun, but very interesting. You get to see a lot of what goes into making an episode of a TV show, or a movie, whatever you're working on. As for me, I haven't worked as a background extra in a long time. Frankly, I wouldn't have the time to do it even if I wanted to. It was easily one of the most memorable experiences I've ever had. See ya!